All right, Dixie, we are playing December football, and we're here to talk about it. Digging for Wisdom, Regional Final Edition. That's Professor Diggs. I'm the Wizard. We are talking about North Texas's teams that are still playing in football in December. Obviously, the milestones keep piling on. Play after Thanksgiving, play December football. I know one thing we probably shouldn't be talking about this week, but knowing you, we probably will. Style points after this week means absolutely nothing anymore. If I can see these teams win 2-0 here on out and get them state final, that's fine with me. I don't care about style points anymore, and I don't want to hear it from you, Dixie. Am I going to hear it from you, though?
Of course you are. You never liked hearing about style points at the end of the day, and that is an important factor. I mean, if some of these games, again, like I said last week, were 38-31 kind of a games, and you'll be talking about that 38-31 game when we get to 6A Division 1. Those are the kind of things you look at when you're trying to look forward and figure out if this team is going to win or that team is going to win. South Lake Carroll beating Prosper by 3 scores, that matters at this point. That is impressive. And then the other thing you got to look at is turnovers. Like who are the teams having a lot of penalties and a lot of turnovers right now? That matters even when you win. So, but you're right. We're getting to the point where now games are just like that. And you talk about style points. I'm just a scoreboard watcher for this other half of the state. What about that Richmond Randall team putting up 80 in the playoffs? I don't care who you're playing. That's South Oak Cliff, Richmond Randall. We're just kind of looking ahead. I know each team's got to go a couple of steps to get there. But man, it looks like Richmond Randall gave us a little bit of something to think about on this half of the state.
Absolutely. And then if you flip on the other side, you talk about South Oak Cliff, and then everybody talks about the athletes and everything. I don't know if we've said enough about their offensive line that can open up over 500 and 60 yards with 2 running backs, and specifically the holes they're opening up is crazy. And it's not like Terrell had a shady defense either. They let them run all over the place. So we'll get into all that, but we can start off by talking about the games that we want to see in 6A Division 1. Let me go ahead and pop it up. This is what we're left with right now in Region 1, 6A Division 1. In the upper half here, we got North Crowley and Allen, Duncanville and Waxahachie. You mentioned a lot about that already, the Waxahachie game, especially since they gave it up and then they came and took it back. They collapsed and then they refigured themselves and figured out a win. That was a wild game. It was a wild game for me to be at, too. Even if it did take me 3.5 hours to get back from Waco. I'm not going to talk about them no more because I promised you I wouldn't, but I just did. So what am I talking about? Klein Collins had nothing for Duncanville. They just completely dominated that game. Same with North Crowley over Capel and Allen over Permian. So the one that we really concentrate on is that Waxahachie win. Does it give you anything to the Indians to show that they had perseverance or they were completely taken out of this game after they had it and came back and won?
It really highlighted some of the things I know about Waxahachie. Coach Tollison, just the execution of that onside kick was phenomenal. The execution of that 2-minute drill. I had some people who were kind of barking about the time management. I loved the time management because what that tells me is that this coaching staff trusts their kids. They trust the plays. They know what they want to run. They've been going through it in practice. So they're like, we're not going to call a timeout to bail out the other team's defense. And I love that they put that pressure because they had 3 timeouts in that final drive and they just held on to them. They knew they had 7 to 10 plays. They knew what they wanted to do. They thought we're not going to give Cy Ranch the chance to sit and just kind of scheme and have some extra thoughts and look for this, look for that. They have to react because we know we are prepared, and it was exactly what Waxahachie needed. And you were there, so I really want to kind of pick your brain about this because you got to see it with your own eyes. Just how that game ended with the onside kick, the 10 points in the last minute and a half, and the fact that it felt like 3 or 4 things had to go perfect for Waxahachie, and they got every single one, including 2 dropped interceptions.
2 dropped picks. That's the key right there. To me, it was all about a team that had not been there before and didn't know what to do. They thought they had the game wrapped up at 28-21, early 4th, and then that last drive, like you said, 2 square in the chest. You're not talking about ones that were like, oh, I got to make a dive for it and make the picks. These were right to them. They threw it right to them. They dropped both of them. Onside kick. I'm not going to say they didn't prepare for it, but it looked like a group of guys that just did not know. Maybe the moment was too big for them. They did not know where to be. If it was a world where you could grab an onside kick and go in for 6, that's what Jaquan Snow would have done. But, yeah, it was perfectly kicked onside kick. that you got to give the kicker a lot of credit because he put, all the kickoffs he put almost out of the, completely in the back of the end zone. He made the field goals when he had to make them, made the extra points. And then that onside kick was something special. And like you said, they drove it down there. I was a little concerned because it was first and 10 from the 13, and it was late in the game there. Obviously, there's like seconds remaining. They kept going for touchdowns instead of trying to get that first down. I understand first and second. Now third down, again, back to the end zone. I was like, I don't know. Let's get that first down. You still got the timeout. Let's figure it out. But like you said, they knew what they were doing. They dumped that pass off to Strange. He got in there, touchdown. And after he scored that touchdown, I was like, okay, it's over now. It's got to be over. It's Indians survived their collapse to let Cy Ranch collapse.
Yeah, and one thing that, again, I want to also get your feedback on is I was shocked when I looked at the box score that the running back for Cy Ranch, 23 carries, 206 yards. I don't think of Waxahachie's defense as a kind of a defense that a team can just line up and run for almost 8 to 10 yards on. Was it a mismatch in the offensive line? Was it a running back that was just amazing? Like, what was the reason that Cy Ranch was able to be so successful in the run game?
And to be honest with you, I don't think the running back, Peyton Miller, expected to get that much yardage either, because after that first long touchdown run, he was done. He was gassed. He sat on the bench. He was like, everybody leave me alone. I can't even catch my breath here. He was struggling, and then they got the ball right back, and the coach like, you ready? He's like, no, I'm still not ready. Didn't want to come in. Finally, they put him in. He broke another one for 70 yards up the middle. Then he was really done. I don't think he actually really did much after that second long touchdown run. But the holes that were opened up were incredible for him. I mean, he got 10 yards a carry for a good 6 to 7 carries in that game, including the 2 long ones, which gave him a majority of his yards. But yeah, that's going to be a problem with Duncanville if they can't get the run defense together, because now with Maximus not playing, Duncanville's running a lot of sweeps. They're putting Yancey out there, quarterback, letting him sweep to the left and right, and they're doing a great job of sealing off the edge and breaking it. One thing I heard interesting from one of the Waxahachie, somebody affiliated with Waxahachie, is that, and I agree with this, you can beat Duncanville for 2 quarters. You cannot beat them 4 quarters. So the 2 quarters that you can beat them, you have to beat them good. You got to be 2 scores up ahead of them, because the other 2 scores, they're going to beat you. So you got to find that quarter where you can get them and get them good. Otherwise, I'm with a lot of majority of people. I think Duncanville's probably going to get their lick back here. But man, that was a fabulous game last week for Waxahachie to come back to.
And it's crazy because, usually when you think of Duncanville this far into the season, you got a Caden Durham. You got that running back who you can just rely on for 30 carries. They don't got that. They got, basically 10 running backs, receivers, wing backs, whoever we can get out there who can run the ball for 8 to 10 times. That's what it is. You got Trent,
10 athletes.
Trent Yancey, Ison Theus, Braden Arnold, but there's not that one player, but all of them are athletes and all of them are really good. And the offensive line is going to pound on them. And I just don't like that. I don't like Waxahachie's matchups in this, given that they seem a little bit banged up, given how Cy Ranch was able to run the ball successfully against them.
And they're looking for that one time that you don't pursue with 100% effort. You miss it that one time, it's around the edge, and it's a 60-yard touchdown. So this is not a game where you can let up a one play. You got to go the whole 48 minutes if you want to repeat what you did earlier in the year.
And you're going to hear kind of a theme with some of my picks when it comes to this. But it seems like if you put the onus on the quarterback to win the game, Jerry Meyer should have had 3 turnovers. Waxahachie had 2 turnovers as a team, but they could have had 4 if they would have had those 2 interceptions that were dropped. I guess one of them would have ended the game. They didn't need both of them. They had 2 chances, but they didn't get both of them. But I feel like Waxahachie is going to have to play perfect. Meyer is going to have the game of his life right now, because Duncanville, that front 7 right now, just like with Aledo and some of these other defenses that we're talking about, are incredible. They held Klein Collins to 51 yards rushing on 31 31 carries, held Heath to 38 yards on 27 carries. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on Meyer to have to be perfect in the passing game. And if you just make that one or two mistakes, that's all Duncanville needs to even, and that's when they start to roll it up on you. I think if Waxahachie plays a perfect game, that's when it kind of gets into that, they got to be perfect and find a turnover or two on Duncanville's side and really maximize those 2 quarters you were talking about. That's what they did in the very first game. I don't know that they can do it for the second game. And Duncanville, they don't get mad and demonstrative like DeSoto does. They have a quiet confidence, but they are mad about this. Duncanville doesn't get on social media and just blow it up. But they are focused. They want their look back on Waxahachie. That is a lot of pressure on Waxahachie to have to do it twice. But you know what? If they can, they might be a favorite to win the state.
But they can use that. Wax can use that because as quiet as they are an emotional bunch on that defensive side of the ball. And if you can get started early, if you're an Indian fan, if you can get started early, get them angry. I mean, I'm not talking about any specific players, but KJ and them on the defensive line, they get angry, they'll get penalties, and all of a sudden you're up 15 more yards than you needed to be. You'll get free first downs. You got to keep that emotion in check if you're a Panther fan. I know that much defensively, at least.
And you talk about keeping penalties in check, and you're talking about being a Panther fan. Go up to the other half of the bracket.
Yeah.
Going down to the North Crowley and Allen. North Crowley against Coppell had 19 penalties in that game, had 4 turnovers in that game, and Coppell had none, and they still beat Coppell by 25. They had 593 yards. I told y'all in the podcast I was worried that even though I felt that North Crowley wasn't as good as they were last year, I felt like they were going to beat Coppell by a lot more. And not only did they do that, if North Crowley would have played a perfect game, that game would have been like 63-7. I mean, they had just dominated them, both sides of the ball, the infrastructure, and even with all of those mistakes, still they beat them by 4 scores. It's like, how good can North Crowley be? Because it's the players we're not talking about. It's Turntine and the defensive line, just like with Duncanville, who are just dominating the game to where offenses just can't get going.
And that's a team that is built on emotion as well. And that starts from the top with Coach Gates walking out there with whatever that tool was he had on his shoulder there. I didn't get to see much of that game because I was down in Waco. But they're built on emotion, and I feel like Allen isn't. I think Allen's built on being meticulous and just moving that thing down the court, down the field, and getting plays in. But if they can penetrate that Allen offensive line, though, and make quarterback Dowd make some throws that he doesn't want to make. He wants to make the short out passes and just move that thing down the field and then hit you with the quick run with Lyndon Spriggs and see how that thing works out. I'm interested to see how you feel like this thing's going to turn out.
Yeah, the thing you kind of been needling me about is, we talk about scrimmages and early season. Remember North Crowley and Allen, they did scrimmage each other at the very beginning, and all reports were North Crowley just beat them up. Offensive line, defensive line, scored 8 or 9 touchdowns to Allen's like 1 or 2. And Allen used that as kind of the motivation to get them going. Like, we got bullied, we got beat up, and now we got to get better. I feel like North Crowley has also gotten better since then as well. I think this is a bad matchup, very similar to what Coppell dealt with, that, because the defensive line is going to force Dowd to be the game changer. I don't know that he's built to do that. I think he is built to be, kind of, what was that Tampa Bay quarterback that won
Dilfer? Dilfer.
Yeah, he's built to be that. And I mean, if you get to that level, that's amazing, but that's where he is going to shine. He's not built to be a Jermaine Bishop, do it all, just I can go out there and do it myself. He needs a great team around him, and he does have a great team around him, but if he's asked to do it himself, I don't know that he's built to do that, and North Crowley is going to force him to do that. I think North Crowley has edges in just about every single tick down the road, except for maybe defensive secondary, and that's where maybe Allen can go long and maybe get some big plays, but can they do that consistently? Man, I think North Crowley is going to win this game by at least 14. And if they play a perfect game, and Coach Gates is going to be looking at those 19 penalties and looking at those 4 turnovers, and they're going to be working on the perfection, the execution. If they can get some of that cleaned up, it could get even uglier than 2 scores.
And that's another deal where, like Duncanville, where North Crowley's offense has athletes just about all over the place. You don't know which one's going to step up and make that play for you. So that's going to be an interesting one up at North Texas for sure. and then that will lead to a tremendous state semifinal. Whoever goes through will be another must-see event, I think, for sure. All right, let's go to 6A Division II. Let's talk a game that took 2 days to finish, right? 11:15. It starts, it ends at 1:45 in the morning, but South Lake Carroll ends up doing what they have to do and did do and beat Prosper down there in the back half of that game. Geyer needed some help to get that thing done. I think they needed the sloppy field, to be honest with you, and they got the field goal at the end of the game there and got the turnovers from Almanza to push them into that game against South Lake Carroll, which it feels to me that game's on Saturday at 2. It feels like a South Lake Carroll win by 14 or more. I don't know what you're going to say about that. And DeSoto gets to play Willis again. I didn't know if that was going to happen this year, but it is going to happen. My man Diggs, he finally got to see the best player in the state. And he did the best player in the state things against Forney. And you dropped your record to 15-1 when seeing Coach Fleener play?
Yeah, we got the loss, and while I'm kind of talking about it, I'm going to give you a little bit of a research project if you just don't have it in your head. But I want to kind of know when College Park and Willis played each other, what that looked like. So if you don't have that instant up, you can go Google Max Preps and figure out what that game looked like. But looking at the Geyer and Nelson game, man, I talked about it last week. I feel like Geyer has kind of hit their ceiling because of the quarterback play, and South Lake Carroll, I think, is going to beat them by well more than 14. One thing I was really kind of excited to see with South Lake Carroll getting to have a chance to watch the game, since that game didn't even get started until I got home, is South Lake Carroll was playing with a chip on their shoulder, with a little bit of intensity. Yeah. They weren't playing like, oh, we're just, we're here to execute, we're the machine. They were playing like somebody had picked against them. Like they were mad and they felt like they had something to prove. Riley Dodge has really instilled that level of, we cannot rest on our laurels. We can't take it for granted. Prosper is a really good team. I mean, it just felt like a mosh pit on the sidelines because of the way the cameras were going. You get to see the players jumping up and down like every single play. The energy was infectious, even though it was an 11 o'clock start. They were in you didn't really have the fans. You didn't have the band support. You didn't have the cheerleaders and those cheerleaders might have stayed, but you didn't have a lot of the infrastructure of a normal game that can get you fired up. And those players gave them 48 minutes. Prosper, I don't really felt like matched that intensity. Got turnovers on Imhoff, which is obviously going to be key going forward. That their defense has got to be strategic. But I also saw in that elite level offenses are going to be able to move the ball on South Lake Carroll, and that kind of lets me think about that. If it's DeSoto, because DeSoto definitely has an elite level offense, that looks more like a shootout as opposed to like a 24-21 kind of a game. So can DeSoto match South Lake Carroll? We know they're going to be able to match them in intensity, but are they going to be able to match them score for score? Because Carroll's offense looked really, really good. And if their defense could just get the 3 stops and a turnover every game, I mean, they're going to continue to win those games. I think it's a little bit misleading, the 49-31, because it was a thorough win. Yeah. But again, when you have 3 turnovers, and that 2 of those turnovers are likely to have been scores if they didn't have the interceptions. So again, that's kind of a 1-score game, which is what I was expecting. Prosper's my number 3 team in the area, so that's not a disrespectful thing. Like style points, I expected it to be a close game, but because of the turnovers and the way that game developed, I felt like they were able to have a wider point margin. But South Lake Carroll, it's a bad matchup for Denton Geyer. Denton Geyer, I guess we're going to see what a great defense can do against South Lake Carroll's offense. I don't think it's going to be enough, and their offense isn't going to be enough to score points. This looks like a 49-7. It reminds me of Byron Nelson a couple of years ago when Carroll went 49-0 on them. I feel like Denton Geyer is getting a licking coming to them.
They're so fast in what they do on offense as far as running their plays. They get to it and get going. There's no waiting around looking for open receivers. They're on to the second, third choice, and it's going to be hard for Zane Rowe and those guys to get in there and put any kind of pressure because they run a fluid, structured offense that lets their stars be stars. Like Brock Boyd was a star. He only made 5 catches, but they all counted for something big in that game. Just like on the lower half, Ethan Feaster, he is now – and he's riled up too. I don't know if you saw the highlights. Everything that he did was completely riled. He got flagged a couple of times for being a little bit too overzealous, shall we say. He's just ready for this thing. And of course, Rod Baker's going to do what he's going to do. I did look it up, and I know what you were getting at. College Park had absolutely no problem with Willis. 55-37, if I remember correctly. They threw all over him nonstop, and just it's one of their highest scoring games was against Willis. This poor Willis squad is I shouldn't say poor. Poor Jermaine Bishop is literally carrying this team into the fourth round. He's got them on their back. I mean, you ran the stats: 15 catches, 300 yards. He does it. If they need a big play, they put him at quarterback. He's doing stuff defensively in the return game. It's not going to work out for him against DeSoto. I think it's going to be a similar score to the College Park game. But I am glad I'm going to get to see Jermaine Bishop live in his last high school game because I haven't got to see him live yet. I just think it's going to be a big win for DeSoto, and that's going to set up a dream regional or a state semifinal game.
I love what you were talking about earlier with South Lake Carroll, that their offense allows stars to be stars. And Forney, watching that game, it was incredibly frustrating because the way that all of their plays kind of started was, Peterson got the ball and there's like a 2-second little gap in the middle where he's going to do, he's going to fake or he's going to do his own read or he's going to decide to roll out at that point. But in that 2 seconds, Willis saw this and they were just crashing, 5 guys crashing right to the middle of the ball. And Forney just did not adjust. They just couldn't, Willis was well coached, and they saw something on the film to have the confidence to have 2 fake punts, including a fake punt in your own end zone, on 4th and 12. It wasn't like they just had to get 1 yard on that, And if they didn't get that, I mean, you're basically giving Forney the ball on their own 4 when you're only up by 10. So Willis is a well coached team, and they're looking for things special teams. They're looking for ways that they can get Bishop to exploit different mismatches. That's what I really came away from the Willis-Forney game, is that Willis outcoached Forney significantly, just in their preparation and the way that they were willing to take risks on Forney's vulnerabilities, and they shone in those areas. Shined. I don't know what they did.
Let's go shine.
The shine was there for Willis, and that game was even a little bit closer because of kind of onside kicks, late things. Yeah. That game, I pretty much mentally checked out at 38-18 because it was dominant. Forney got a late score and then got an onside kick and did it again. And then even with that, had a chance. I'm sure Coach Fleener and I was thinking it at the same time. It's Diggs magic. We have figured out a way to have 21 points in the last 5 minutes. But again, Jermaine Bishop overcoming fourth quarter plays. He had the interception to seal it. He did everything for that game. But I don't even think that game was that score reflects how far Willis had beat Forney down.
Well, I think you mentally and physically checked out because all of a sudden the tweet stopped. I was like, all right, what's happening again? I got to go follow somebody else because you just gave up. I have a feeling you probably went down on the field or something like that. The only problem here is the bugaboo of playing at McLean Stadium. DeSoto has bad memories the last time they were in it. There was a time late Saturday that we thought this thing might be in an Alamo Dome, something that Claude Mathis likes, an indoor place, but it's back in Baylor. Maybe that helps, and Willis is going to have to pull out maybe a 3rd and 4th fake punt here to kind of get this thing going in their direction. But I'm expecting a DeSoto South Lake Carroll State semifinal, and I'd be shocked if it wouldn't.
And it's crazy because I do believe this sentence that the parity has been incredible this year. But again, when you start looking at these regional finals and it's very similar to what we had last year. You replaced DeSoto and Longview. We had Carroll and Longview last year. Carroll DeSoto, who beat Longview this year. We were expecting Carroll DeSoto last year. Duncanville, North Crowley. It looks like our rematch in 5A and 6A Division I. Aledo, Denton, Ryan, Argyle, South. I mean, it's just the matchups over and over. I thought we were going to get some different stuff, but here we are again, same teams yet again.
Same thing. Well, that brings us to 5A Division I because you say the potential of it being Highland Park and Denton Ryan again, it's there, but I kind of feel like it's going to be the opposite. The other teams, Aledo versus Lone Star this year, but I'm interested to hear it because our game of the week is going to be Lone Star and Highland Park. You were again another one of those things where you brought up before the season started. I say, hey, what game are you looking forward to the most? And you said Lone Star and Highland Park, and I was like, I was talking about regular season, but that game can't happen until 4 weeks in the playoffs. Here we are. So you were looking forward to it, and now it's right here in front of us. Your thoughts on how these teams are playing before they get to each other? We'll start here at the bottom here with Lone Star and Highland Park.
Yeah, to me, this was a blessing because it's like when you get a little bit of an insight into the mind of Randy Allen. Randy Allen was up in the press box for the start of the Lone Star West Mesquite game, sitting right next to me. So I mean,
Oh, nice.
I got to look at the notes. I got to hear the phone calls that he was making. I'm obviously not going to divulge that stuff
I was
out
going
of
to say that'd be the
respect,
last time he sits
but
next to you.
but the brain of Randy Allen, just the way he processes things, is just at a different level. He finds things and he looks for little matchups. He's thinking about referees. He's thinking about indoor, outdoor. You know, what can we do? All of this stuff is just automatic for him. The things that we have to really process is just so automatic for him because he's been there and he's done that for so long. And he only watched for about a quarter. I guess he saw what he needed to see, and he was out of there
I think everybody saw
after.
what they need to see in a quarter in that one. But go ahead.
After about a quarter, he was done there. But the thing that I see and that I kind of go back to with Lone Star and going back to the Reedy game and going back to the Wakeland game is teams that have the strategy to make the sophomore Trey Wright beat you. If that is your strategy, let Gross do what he's going to do, let Hoyt do what he's going to do, make Wright beat you. Those are the games that they've really struggled in. That was Frisco Reedy, Frisco Wakeland. Reedy kind of just had a one high safety look and said, look, we're going to keep everything in front of us. Trey, if you can beat us, we'll take the loss. But otherwise, we're going to put that pressure on you. And that was a one-score game. And if they had lost their quarterback, that was a really good chance that Lone Star would have lost that game against Reedy. Highland Park is, if they want to do that, if that is their strategy to do that, they might find something else. They might say, like, look, we're going to take Gross away because Gross had a huge game. He had the first 3 touchdowns there.
Good week to do a story on Gross, by the way. But go ahead.
Yeah. And Hoyt, if take him away, I don't know what they're going to do, but I think if they see what I see, make Wright beat you. If they can do that, I think Highland Park should be a 2-touchdown favorite in this game. Another kind of a factor, 2 other factors that I'm looking at. I feel like Lone Star really misses Ryder Mix, the tight end that's going to Oklahoma. I feel like he gives them so much on the offensive line in pass protection. I think he really helps Trey Wright with that and having a safety valve. Their tight end is a good tight end now, but Ryder Mix, I mean, when you're an OU commit, a 4-star, just what he can do, the skill set, not having him in the game, I think really hurts a sophomore quarterback who's still trying to learn his way. And this at the highest level, these are the games that are prototypical that Highland Park wins year in and year out. So you think Lone Star is going to win, and I see why with the athletes, but Highland Park usually finds a way to shut that down year after year. If they were playing Willis and Jermaine Bishop, and that could Jermaine Bishop do that on a Highland Park strategy session? I mean, if you're good enough, I guess you could, because he did that on Forney. But I feel like Highland Park is going to beat Lone Star, and maybe convincingly.
Interesting. All right. Well, we'll definitely be at that one. And then we at the top half there, this game, I went to a half of the Arlington Heights game as I was heading down to Waco, and that's a game, and the 15-14 game early in the season. This thing's going to go down to the trenches. Whoever wins the trenches wins this game. Whoever can move the line one way or the other, I think, wins between Denton, Ryan, and Aledo, because Aledo is so freaking dominant. Like, I know they're outsized Arlington Heights, and I felt bad for the Yellow Jackets, but they just pushed them around anywhere they wanted to. They have a big bruising running back in James, and he couldn't even, he couldn't take 2 steps with the ball without having, black and orange jerseys bring him to the ground. Is that good? What's the deal here in the trenches? Because Ryan stuck with them for most of the first time they played.
Yeah, Denton Ryan held Gibson to 32 yards.
Yes, 17 carries. Too.
17 carries. So, I mean, to get that kind of checked that, okay, we can stop a powerful running back. We can stop a running game. But the thing I continue to look at that's just kind of Denton Ryan's MO over the last couple of years, in that game against Richland, 13 penalties for 113 yards, playing undisciplined football right now, kind of playing emotional football. That cannot happen. But they do have a 1-2 punch with Rontavian Brown and Trayvon Reynolds. And I feel like that is really the key if you're a Denton Ryan perspective. Can Trayvon Reynolds break off that one score? It seems like every time he plays Aledo, he's going to have a 60-yard touchdown. Can Aledo stop that? I think if Aledo can stop a big play threat, I don't see Denton Ryan being able to to muster up an 18-play, 70-yard drive with their penalties, their undisciplined play at times. But a fun fact as well, and this kind of gets into that Longview DeSoto fact from a couple of weeks ago. Aledo has never beaten Denton Ryan in the playoffs.
That's
I
right.
mean, we're talking about a team that has won 13 state championships, 12 state championships, maybe 13 this year, in the last 25 years, and they have never beaten Denton Ryan in the playoffs. 0-3, if I remember that stat right. But I feel like once Aledo moved from McElree to Lincoln Tubbs, that has been phenomenal for them. Lincoln Tubbs is not an amazing thrower, so again, Denton Ryan, I'm sure their perspective is make Lincoln Tubbs beat you. If we have to try to make Lincoln Tubbs beat us through the air, that's our best chance to win this game. But I mean, he's had over 2,000 yards, both passing and rushing the ball. But man, you got Caden Finley, who's your deep ball threat.
You don't have to make a great throw to him, and he'll
Yep.
make the catch. And I don't think Ryan has that deal. You have to make great throws to their receivers.
Right. Caden Wingfield, Brady Powell will pound the ball. And again, Aledo's front seven have been amazing. They play flawless in the trenches. I got to stick with Aledo. I wanted to see a little bit more with Denton Ryan. I was hoping for 38-41 over Richland to give me that. It's going to be an ugly game. It might be a game first 1-21. I just think Aledo is going to get there. I don't think Denton Ryan is going to be able to have those kind of big plays, because I remember watching the Denton Ryan Aledo game last year, and again, it's like they hit Aledo with big play after big play in the second half to blow that open, and that's basically what they have to do. Is that they have to get those big plays. Aledo just hasn't given them up all year, and they only gave up one in that Denton Ryan game. I can't see Denton Ryan tripling the amount of big plays that Aledo's given up all year, so I'm going to take the Bearcats.
It might take a special teams play here to turn the tide as well. But as you were saying, both quarterbacks are good. They're not elite. So if whichever quarterback, if a quarterback can make two plays, that's all you're looking for. Two big plays, and that's probably going to tip the scale in your favor.
And protect the ball. I mean, again, you cannot make dumb plays, and you can't get outside of your system trying to make a play. Just let it happen. I mean, if you see Finley rushing down, he's beat out there, you can throw it up there because he could make a play. But you can't be trying crazy slant routes or just crazy things, forcing the ball into areas that's where you're going to make mistakes. You can't do that in this game.
And we'll have a nice cold day Friday night, by the way. Cold night, should be in the 30s. Which is good because I've been waiting for that. Being if a guy moved down here from Buffalo, I was waiting for the cold to hit in, and it's coming this week. All right, 5A Division II, Sock P&G. I'm bringing this game up first because I don't. You talked about Highland Park, where however many scores over Lone Star. People see these two names and they think, "Oh my God, it's Sock and P&G again." I got to make my way down to Brian and what's this thing. I think it's Sock by 3-4 scores in this one. And then up top, you got Melissa and Argyle. We're still, unless you've heard anything new, we're still waiting on Brett Holloway. Is he going to play the full game? It kind of feels like it is when we're taping this. It seems like they have the evidence for him. He was just getting nitpicked by Anna there because they had fallen behind. They were trying to draw all sorts of stuff going on. Argyle is playing great with Gasperson and Caldwell, but when they start giving up these points, it makes me a little nervous as well. Your thoughts on both of these games?
But they've been doing that all year. But you said you wanted to start at the bottom half of the bracket.
Let's start at the bottom. Let's start aside.
P&G, given the fact that they were down 7-6 in the fourth quarter against Midlothian Heritage. I mean, then they got 10 points to kind of take care of that, or 11 points or whatever it ended up being, to win that game 17-14. This is the game where you saw the lack of the quarterback. The quarterback being injured really started to hurt P&G. Sock is going to feast on them. They feasted on them last year. I think they're going to feast on them this year.
Yeah, I heard some people saying, "Whoa, you're playing in Bryan. That's right around the corner from from P&G." And I don't think Todd cares if they're playing this thing in Detroit. He just wherever you want to play, let's just get this thing over with so I can get ready for Argyle.
Yeah, they talk about Pepperidge Farm remembers. They remember. They remember that game against P&G that a couple of years ago, the first loss there, and I think it's always a fun thing for South Oak Cliff to beat P&G and kind of remind them, okay, you got your one win, but we remember that, and we're gonna be Big Brother. I know we were all excited about it when realignment came out. We're like, oh, we're gonna have Sock P&G, and we got both games. We got both times in the regional divisional final, so they definitely gave us that. But I think South Oak Cliff is just and how does South Oak Cliff? I feel like they've not had an injury like in this run. They
Yeah, you're
stayed
right.
really healthy, and P&G's had to deal with that. Argyle has been really healthy this year as well. Melissa got banged up last year, which is why they didn't even end up making the playoffs. But again, I think there's a lot of what they say when luck meets, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Well, a lot of these teams are prepared. They're fit. The off-season workouts have kept them healthy. And then their regular season management, just the way, SOC kind of puts the JV in for the second half. They are at full strength right now. PNG not, SOC big. And again, when you look at the Melissa Argyle game, Argyle beat Walnut Grove by 17. And Melissa lost to Walnut Grove, and that was a high-scoring game. Both of these are high-scoring games. And then you kind of look at the fact that Argyle beat Lovejoy 56-0, and then Melissa only beat Lovejoy by 35. That's 20 points both games. That Argyle is kind of up on Melissa. The other common opponent they had is Colleyville Heritage. Argyle won that game by 23. Melissa won that game by 31. So that's kind of an edge for Melissa. But everything continues to point to the fact that Argyle is going to win this game by 2 scores. Brett Holloway, he has no help. I keep looking at the box score. Who's going to help him? He had 455
yards. That's a good point. That's why he ran for 300 yards. It's not because I don't think it's because he wants to run all the time, but his guys aren't getting open for him, so he's gone.
Right. And in the running back situation for Melissa is not great. I thought that Bear Tabor would be that guy, but I guess he's a sophomore, a little young. He's still got to probably build a little bit of body mass to be able to handle the Cam Newton-like loads. But Argyle, it's just player after player. You got Rexroad and Bell and Gasperson and Bruce and Braden Bach. They have so much they can throw at you. The defense is good. If Brett Holloway is out for a half, my current feedback is he's going to play the full game because the Tyler chapter, according to Maya from the Dallas Morning News, has already cleared it. It's just the Tasso has to kind of clear it now. So I think it's going to get cleared, but that's their only chance, is that he has to have the Jermaine Bishop kind of a game where he does it all. I don't like games like that. I will bet against that team 9 times out of 10 and be right 9 times out of 10. And the one time I'm wrong, you just got to tip your hat and say, well, that happens sometimes, that 1 out of 10 situation. But Holloway can't do it by himself. Argyle's going to win this game by a couple of scores.
Yeah, and I mentioned this on Friday Night Recap. I'd be hard-pressed to find a better wide receiver quarterback duo than Gasperson and Caldwell right now. They're on another level with finding each other, finding a wide open, making big plays. I mean, they're just doing things. All right, let's move to 4A Division I, where we see West Plains against Stephenville, Salina against Alvarado. Boy, these are usually fun games, but there may be some interesting injuries in both of these matchups that may affect how this thing goes. I think Stephenville probably would win regardless if the running back was hurt for West Plains or not. And then on the other end, is how serious is the Bo Bentley thing? Are they going to keep it hush-hush all the way through Thursday and into Friday, or what are we going to learn about them? Because to me, it felt 50-50 even with them playing. Right. Now this might tip it over into Alvarado's. I mean, Alvarado don't care about nothing when it comes to scoring points. Even Carter Riverside comes into the game. Oh, we're a sweet little story. Give us a break. Here's 77 for you, and I beat it. Their offense is a fine-tuned machine right now.
Yeah, and they're not big, but they love their execution is flawless right now. DeMarcus Belton is kind of that Jermaine Bishop. He can do everything. He's a running back. He can get in there and throw the ball if needed in a kind of a halfback option kind of a thing. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He has been phenomenal for them. And Salina, the games are just – and they are banged up. Their running back is out too. Gutierrez has been out for the last few weeks as well. So no RB1, no QB1 potentially. I feel like the fates are saying Alvarado is going to win this game. Again, if we look at the box score afterward and we're like, oh, Gutierrez is playing, Bentley is playing, Salina's up by 14. I'm not going to be surprised at that. Salina at full freight is the number 1 team in the state. They got all of they're reigning and defending state champions. champions for a reason. But in this banged up state, without a coaching staff, with question marks
Yes.
all over the place, I'm going to go with Alvarado in this game, just because Alvarado is an engine. They're fully healthy. They're well coached. They're going to find something. They've been playing at a high level. They had one hiccup against Glen Rose earlier this year, beating Springtown. That's the style points I keep talking about,
You
Ward.
got your
If
style
this game
points.
was 14-13, you'd be like, okay, let's talk about Salina and Salina-Stephenville matchup. But again, it's that level of intensity that Alvarado continues to show week in and week out, which is why I got to give them the edge in this one.
Yeah, I tell you what, if this next 3 games, if they go 3 games, if Salina can beat Alvarado, Stephenville, and Kilgore with everything that's happened at that school and the injuries and everything else, they better hang that banner a little higher than all the other ones they have there, because it's the real gauntlet coming up right now. And then you flip to the other side, Stephenville is just playing amazing.
Right. Every game is like 50-6, 50-7. Except for the game against Ruston, which is a national powerhouse. In that game, I think they even won that game. So they're just winning games against everybody right now. It was a little bit closer than was expected, but when they've been playing in their own league, in their own lane, it's been looking like this. And you can kind of see West Plains against Canyon, even though that was a 1-2 kind of a game, wasn't quite the offensive output that they've had without their running back. Stephenville has been quietly looking at this game in the 4A Division I, and you even kind of saw this when you did your earlier interview with Salina to get the season started. They had what they called the West Plains wall, because they were all feeling disrespected about Step and others picking West Plains over Salina, despite the fact that they won that game last year, and West Plains bringing back as much as they did. This is Stephenville. Stephenville has been kind of just watching all of this chat about 1-2, saying, well, we'll be number 1 when it's time. I think Stephenville is going to be the favorite out of this half of the bracket.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would like to see it happen, just so that the state semifinal game is a little closer to home here. I don't have to travel out so far to Abilene or something like that. All right, let's take a look at 4A Division II. Brock against Greenwood, and Carthage keeps on winning. They're taking on Athens, who took out our boys from Sunnyvale by a point. That was a wonderful game, right?
Yeah, I mean, Sunnyvale, I feel, had it. They were setting up for a field goal. They were just trying to get a little bit more yardage on 3rd down, and his arm was hit, ball was tipped, and Athens intercepted it. They were well in range they have one of the best kickers in the state. So they just had to basically get it to midfield, and they would have been able to have a shot at a field goal. From what I heard, he's kicked 60 in practice, but they feel comfortable at 50. Like, we can put him out there at 50, and we trust our execution and whatnot. It would have been a 42-yarder at the point where the interception happened. They're just, again, trying to get those extra yards. And the first turnover, I think you made this statistic, first turnover of the game was the only turnover at 18 seconds to left. So heartbreaking for Sunnyvale. And Carthage had the same thing kind of happen. They were getting bodied in the first half by Pleasant Grove. It was a 10-point game going into halftime. Pleasant Grove had the ball, and then all of a sudden we had just the Benny Hill song came up, and Pleasant Grove had a snap where nobody could land on the ball, and then Carthage was able to get a touchdown, and then the next play they get another turnover, and they're able to score had a short field, and now all of a sudden they go from having the ball down 2 scores, or Pleasant Grove with the ball up 2 scores, to being down. And once that happens, then it's the KJ Edwards show. Carthage should win this game. But I said this on Twitter, I feel like for the first time, I'm starting to see Brock being able to be competitive with Carthage, because they are just playing at such a high level. Brock Carthage sure feels like a star game. If we're kind of,
it does sound like a star game. What was it last year? It was at McKinney ISD Stadium. So I would love to see it at the Star. Yeah, Carthage is the team that SOC is slowly becoming, where the season starts and we're like, okay, Carthage is going to be in the state final. Will they win or will they lose? Same thing we say with SOC. They're going to be in the state final game. Will they win or will they lose? We'll figure that when we get there. But you're saying Brock handles Midland Greenwood pretty easily.
Yeah, the style points. That's all I can look at. They did not give me style points against Graham. If what they did to Graham would have looked like what Brock did to Seminole, okay,
Right.
I got to dig a little bit deeper. What has Middle and Greenwood got? If Graham can score 21 on him, Brock is going to score 42 on him. And our guy Brandon out in the Big Country had a great statistic about Brock. Brock has been playing football for 12 years, and 11 of them they have been in the regional finals. I mean, talk about growing up under the Aledo learning tree and growing out of Parker County from that. 11 out of 12 times in the
That's
regional
wild.
finals. Whew. Thank you,
That's a
Brandon.
dominant man. Good work, Butters. We like to call him Butters where I come from, and that's where I'm from. Is right here, so we're good. All right, 3A Division One.
But for
Let's
clarity, Brock and Carthage will win those games.
and that's what we're gonna. And we'll wait to hear your analysis after those games happen for that one next week. Peaster Paradise seems like a game you should go to, despite the distance. You're making me nervous on some Friday night recap stuff, but you had a good explanation why you think you'll get back for that one because it's going to be a good game, I believe. And then Pottsboro and Grandview, you had to break out of that Pottsboro game because of the weather issues, but another fantastic game. Grandview, fantastic. A lot of good games in the bottom half of this bracket here, and now they all face each other. So, and an all DFW regional finals.
We love when we get all DFW regional finals. Let's talk about defense on the top half because it's like the top half of the bracket, we have excessive defense. And on the bottom half of the bracket, we have no defense whatsoever and really good offense. Peaster has only given up 6 points in the playoffs. I mean, that is an incredible stat. 4 games, only giving up 6 points. Paradise has only given up 14 points in the playoffs. So, I mean, the defenses that these two teams are playing is phenomenal. When they played last time, it was 21-15. Paradise won, but 7 of those points were a pick 6 it was kind of a fluke play in the fourth quarter, which ended up flipping that game, and Peaster wasn't able to come back. This is going to be first 1 to 20. If you can get to 20 in this game, you're going to win that. I said it on the big show when y'all put me on the big screen. Peaster is the team to watch out. That is the dark horse. I think Peaster is going to beat Paradise. A couple names to shout out. Luke Gray is the quarterback for Peaster. Hudson Salyers has been great as a sophomore at running back, which means both these kids are going to be back for next year. So Peaster's not going anywhere. Aiden O'Lady is the guy for Paradise. He is the Austin Iglesias of this team. Paradise throws the ball a little bit more, but man, when the defense is tight, they make mistakes. They don't play well. Luke Brown is the quality running back for Paradise. I just don't think the matchups are there, and Peaster has a chip on their shoulder about the first game. It's going to be the get the lick back, but I think Peaster is going to upset Paradise and justify why I flipped them in the rankings, because you remember the Instagram. Yeah. It's still going, the arguments over there on Instagram about me flipping the number 1 and number 2 by the last week. Paradise just plays too close to the vest. Peaster plays a dominant style of football. Give me the Greyhounds.
Well, when this comes out, they're going to be talking about it all Wednesday and Thursday, too. So get your Insta ready. By the way, pick up Neil Beasley on your way out there, guy. He's taking the country roads out there. Well, maybe we'll have him pick you up in the country roads bus, the old the Madden Cruiser, but it has big country roads on the back. Lets you drive over there in style.
But Pottsboro Grandview is a game that I'm still going back and forth. I'm going to have to probably talk my pick out while talking to you, because Whitney has been a team that had primarily run the ball. You know, they're probably 90% run, 10% pass. But they looked at what they could do in the front 7, and like, we got a pass to win this game. And they did. They were able. I think they threw the ball 30 times, only ran the ball 10 times. And when they ran the ball, Pottsboro was able to kind of shut the running game down. But Whitney was able to get to the edges. They were able to do. It was a very well coached game by Whitney to make that game as close as it was. And that game was a game that Whitney was trying to score a 2-point conversion to tie up the game with like seconds left, and then Pottsboro took it the other way because they threw an interception, and Pottsboro won the game by 4. So it was even closer than the 4-point. I mean, Whitney was hoping to tie it and get into overtime, but Pottsboro with the big play when it mattered. And I think Grandview is going to have a really hard time running the ball consistently against Pottsboro. So the question is, can Blue Edwards, who's one of their receivers, kind of pull back, and can he have the kind of a big day at the wide receiver position as he does at running back? Because they like to run those wings where you can be a running back, you can be a wide receiver. You just got to be there. I don't think Grandview defensively is going to be able to stop Pottsboro. And then offensively, I don't trust that they're going to be able to throw the ball consistently. I feel like picking against Grandview is at my own peril because they have a very high ceiling, but they played up and down this year. But I think Pottsboro is going to get back to the regional or get back to the state semifinals, where it felt like they lived for a while.
Right.
But over the last couple of realignments, they
can't get there.
Haven't been there.
Well, in order to gain some points on you in this pick'em deal, I think I'll go with Grandview. So how about that? Or I could just drop a little further down than I already am. All right, 3A Division II, we got the Wall Gunner matchup is going to be happening. We talked about this in the Friday night recap. Heck, you think this Gunner Leonard game is going to be so bad that you're not even bother going. It's only one on the schedule for Thursday.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to stream that game. It was 44-0 when they played last time, and your sarcastic thing was, well, Leonard's gotten better. Yeah, they have gotten better, but I don't think they've erased 44 points off of it. And Gunner's been here. Leonard last time was here was in 2013, and they lost to Cisco that year by 50. So in the state semifinals. So them being here is not necessarily. This is not a common area for them. Gunner's going to win probably by more than 44. Wall's probably going to win similarly. We're just waiting for Wall Gunner.
It wasn't Canadian that they were playing. It's a bit of an upset there with Aledo, and then they're going to run into Wall. So, yeah, it's going to be Wall Gunner out there in Abilene probably next week, right?
Yep. And sadly, in 2A Division I, we really have nothing to talk about anymore. It's West Texas and Central Texas, literally West Texas, as Stinnett West Texas has made it there against Cisco, a team that has been there. We talked about the team that beat Leonard. Was it Cisco or Chico? I don't remember. I was probably Cisco who beat Leonard by 50 last time. Hamilton Axtell, battle of Hamilton County versus McClellan County. Good luck with all that. I think we're going to see Hamilton and West Texas move on. But the game in Division II on the other side.
Get your sauerkraut. Get your sauerkraut out. It's time to get German. It's time to get Deutsch.
Are you sending a camera crew to Wichita Falls, or did you get mad about that?
No, I got mad that they put it up. Like you said in your tweet, went the wrong direction on that one. Come bring it closer to me, and I'm there.
I had a typo here. I apologize. I should just say 2A Division II. We're not in Division I anymore. But I think Munster's got enough for Lindsay. Lindsay played opportunistic. They redeemed my picking all year, but Collinsville is banged up. They had a couple of players that hurt him. I appreciate it, but I feel like it's the end of the road for Lindsay. I think Munster is really dialed in and has a really good chance to go back-to-back right now.
Boy, if we rewound this however many years, 4 or 5 weeks ago, and just heard you nonchalantly picking Munster when you went Lindsay to 4 or 5 weeks ago, I was like, how do I get this version of Diggs to talk to the Diggs back 4 or 5 weeks ago where he said, this is going to be the one. I'm putting my money behind Lindsay. Pushed it all in. Now it's all nonchalant. Anyway, Munster's going to have a good state semifinal game after they get through this one. But it's Crapo too, so dress up and get out there.
Absolutely.
Get yourself some cheese. Any thoughts on the top half?
I don't know a darn thing about him, Ward. Stratford. No. Probably Stratford.
Usually you just come up with something, you make up something, but I guess not this time.
People love that I don't know what I don't know, and I don't know anything about but I do know that Munster is a really good team. They've been there. Coach Carney has got the experience.
Carney, yeah. I had a good time up there in the preseason when I went up there to talk to those guys. Those are hardworking kids, man. Most of them work throughout the whole summer. They play all the sports like most 2As do. They never take a break. They're always you very rarely see an overweight kid up in Munster because they're constantly on some sort of athletic squad.
Yeah. I feel like we were you did a thing on Munster, you did a thing on Davian Gross, you're at Salina. I mean, the season has kind of gone the way at least we expected it to go.
Oh, definitely you did.
I mean,
all the games that you said in preseason that you're looking forward to are happening.
Got them.
Argyle, like you said, all the 5A games you talked about. I can't wait for this one and that one. And I'm just trying to get my feet underneath me for football season. And you're talking about week 14, 15, whatever it is. And you're right. All of them are right.
And a fun statistic that I kind of, in doing the graphics for next week to kind of make sure everything was ready for it, 16 of the 40 regional finals are district rematches. Like, games that we already saw in the regular season where you just got 1 and 2 back, like Denton, Ryan, and Aledo. And even on your side, Randall, Iowa Colony is another one. I don't know why
Summer Creek
it's ours,
Yes.
As far as the Houston side of things.
King.
But there are a lot of rematches, and people who kind of complain that the playoffs are watered down. This is why, because there are so many power districts where you got regions, really good teams locked together, and then the only fourth place team, Fort Bend Crawford. Like, how do they make it?
Yeah,
but they did.
They did. So, well, they weren't a fourth place team. That was
said F.
They weren't right. They won that district. Beat Navasota in the championship, but they still are in their second year of existence, which to me is wild that they're all the way to play Kilgore. Poor guys get Kilgore next week. I talked to their coach today as well for the Houston show, and they're still hype on that one. He was riled up at the game I was at. Guy scored a touchdown, just spun the ball and ran off the field, got a flag for spinning the ball. And it must have been, and because it was in Groesbeck, so there wasn't a ton of fans. There was fans, but there wasn't a ton of fans. And my man, Coach Jackson, lit into the ref for a good 10 minutes, and it was never ending, and everybody could hear every word. I was like, oh, good Lord, Coach, back it off. But, yeah,
did you get to see the goat out in Groesbeck? Like, do they keep them like with Bevo? Do they keep the goat out there?
I didn't see that goat, but I saw a ton of other animals on my way down there. Sheep, longhorns, everything. All right, Diggs, we will see you out on the football fields Friday, because I guess Saturday you're going around the horn, right?
We're going to go around the horn. We're going to do red zone coverage on social media, where we'll keep you up to date with all of the big DFW games all at once. We'll just go back and forth for all the big games instead of focusing on one. At this point, I like doing that just because selfishly, I want to watch all the games.
Yeah.
And you can't watch all the games because they're all at the same time. So I'll just watch them all. I'll get my little setup, get the 3 TVs, and watch them all. And you, the listener, will be the beneficiary, or the reader, as the case may be.
Get your mellow yellow and your box of club crackers, and just enjoy yourself. All right, well, I'll be in Waco again, so Friday Night Recap will be done from a hopefully good hotel room, and we'll play Diggs' favorite game, Guess the Hotel Wizzy is in, because he's been in so many all over the country, and you did pretty good last week. You're just a little bit off on the adjective.
Yeah.
All right, I'll see you next week. We'll talk state semifinals.